Hey, Lauren here, and today I'm going to be giving you my honest review of the very popular Land diaper bag. Okay, so I have two kids. They're outside of diapers and bottles by this point, but when they were really young, I didn't really have a great diaper bag for them. And now I am seeing these things everywhere. Everywhere these diaper bags are popping up, and I really wish they had been around when I needed them because I'm really impressed both by the design and the functionality of these bags. So I really wanted to review this one today for anyone looking for something like this to get a really good sense of what it actually is like using it and all the features and that kind of thing. It's a whole lot easier to tell in video than just a few photos. So this bag is made by a company called Halova, and the bag itself is Land. But you'll definitely see if you're looking around that there are a lot of different bags like this under a lot of different names, and they all kind of have very subtle little differences. This one right now retails for $29.99 US on Amazon.com. So make sure to check out the link below, especially to see the number of colors. This one is obviously like a very neutral gray, which is nice, but there are so many colors. A really popular one is like a nice coral color. Just kind of whatever your style is, there is a color to match, and I really like that about it. The price also $30 for a backpack that has this many like pockets and functions is quite remarkable. The material itself on the outside, it's really actually quite nice. They say that it is an Oxford cloth material, which is supposed to be water resistant, which is nice. You know, I don't think you're going to want to be out in a, monsoon with this bag and expect the stuff on the inside to stay dry. But you don't have to worry too much about a few drops because it is like, I don't know if you can kind of tell just as I move that, it's pretty thick. It's not super thin. I don't think it's going to tear the material at all. So that's a really nice thing, especially for this price. It looks nice too. Like I think even for this price, the material looks nice. It looks high quality. It kind of has that heathered look that is, very popular right now. The attachments, everything is gold. The zippers are gold. The zippers aren't like the YKK high quality. And you can see that the actual zipper part here, it's fairly thin. So I wouldn't be surprised if after a really long time you would have problems with these zippers. Right now they move smoothly, but it's definitely one area of this bag that you can tell that it's, a budget price for this bag. I will say that the thing that really made me intrigued about this bag is that it currently has 4.4 stars on Amazon with 4,292 reviews at the time that I looked this up just recently. So I'm sure there's even more now. And that is huge, like very high stars. So you know that this thing actually performs out in the real world. So that's definitely what makes it worth looking at. In terms of size, the official stats are that it's 10.6 inches this way, 8.3 this way when it's opened up, and then 16.5 this way. So it's actually quite tall. You can fit quite a lot in here. Some people say that you can just the volume of this thing just is really surprising. And I think one of the big reasons is, and this is sort of what makes this kind of a neat bag, is that when you open it up, the top opens really far, and then you can really see that it is actually a huge amount of volume inside. So if you're looking for something that will hold a lot, this definitely will do it for you. It comes with a 90-day refund, and the company does seem like they really are on top of that if the bag you get has any defects. So I definitely recommend that you right away look it over, see that it looks good, see that everything's in working order, and if not, get in touch with them so that you can get the review, because they do seem to care about making sure you get a bag that is free from any defects. All right, so let's take a look at my favorite part of this bag, which is just all the compartments. Obviously on the front, there's this big one here, and this is a big part of what makes it a diaper bag, a baby bag, is this front compartment has what are meant to be bottle holders. So you can see here that there's 3 across, and these are for holding your bottles. And right on the inside, there's this sort of kind of cold insulation, hot insulation material. So it's meant to like kind of maintain the temperature of whatever you put in there. Now, in terms of the height of these, they'll hold like the shorter type of bottles, but the, I believe it's like Dr. Brown bottles with the full lid on and the cap, they don't fit in here. Just so you know, they don't seem to, from what everyone says. So you're kind of looking, if you're using shorter bottles, you'll be okay. If you have little, you know, juice boxes and stuff, that works too. But if you're using like tall bottles, they probably won't fit in here, and that's important to note. In this front, you'll also see there's like a mesh pouch here that you can use. And this whole area has a lot of volume. So even if you're out of bottles, out of the bottle stage, so to speak, I think you can find that this will actually be very useful for other things like, you know, a phone or a battery charger. Some people who don't have kids use this bag for travel and they love it, and they just find it to be so, so handy, especially because of the number of compartments. Over on this side, you have an elasticy side pouch here, which is actually very large. You can definitely easily fit a water bottle in there. You could fit other things in there too if you wanted. On this side over here, now this one has this kind of opening, and it says that it's meant for like tissues, or you would imagine you'd put like a pack of wet wipes or something in there, and that would be handy. But people do find that it doesn't actually line up with the opening of a lot of the wipes packs. It's kind of more on the bottom here. And the fact that this hole is in here does mean that you can't use it for anything small that would fall out. So that's kind of one little design area that, you know, it seems good, but it might not actually be as useful as it seems, and it might have just been better to stay closed and not use it for that purpose. One thing about this bag that is not my favorite is definitely that the straps are very, very, very thin. You can see there's some padding, but not a ton. And they're stitched very close together up here, almost touching. And so when you do put this bag on, you know, if there's a lot of weight in it, you're gonna feel it. And it also kind of, they go out very far. I did find that the buckles are quite high up, so they kind of hit right here, and you can feel it. Like you can feel those buckles when you're wearing it. So I would definitely recommend, if you're getting this bag, try it on with a lot of stuff, wear it for a bit and see if that's going to bother you. Because if you don't pay attention to that and it ends up being a bother for you, that's just going to make every day wearing this bag literally a pain. So you want to make sure that that isn't going to be tough for you. And then like the attachment here, there's kind of this part that's sticking down. The whole strap system, I think, it's not quite as robust as it could have been for this bag, but I do think that's kind of to be expected for a more budget size bag. But there's a fair amount of like reinforcement here, so hopefully the straps aren't going to just pull right off at any point. There's a couple of important pockets on the back here. This one here is very useful. You can see there's a zipper right here, and I'll show you, I can put my hand all the way across to this side. So this, and it goes from here to here. So this whole segment here is a pocket. And that would be really good, like to put your phone or your wallet, anything that you want to kind of keep somewhat hidden, because this will be on your back when you're wearing it. You don't really have to worry about anyone being able to get into it. This is a really good pocket for all of that stuff. And then you'll see this really big one here. And when you open that up, this is actually access into the main compartment of the bag. So you'll be able to grab anything that's on the bottom of the bag here without opening the top. Without having to dig through. You can just kind of really quickly get to it, and that is really, really nice. You'll also see that on this flap, there's another pocket, and this one is intended for like anything that's wet. You can put in here, and it's like a plasticky coating, and it goes over the zipper too. So hopefully it won't leak on anywhere, and this is just kind of, you know, if you have some wet wipes or some, you know, clothes that get wet when you're at the spray park or something. It's a small pocket, but you could stick that in there, and that's a really extra handy little feature. So this is quite helpful to have this bottom access. That's all of the pockets on the outside. And then there's one other little feature, is that there's these top handles that make it easy to carry, which I love. I often carry my backpack by the top handle, and the fact that there's two makes this really handy. There's also a little snap to hold them together, which makes it easier to carry, and also sort of like a little bit harder to open your bag when this is also snapped closed. Now let's take a look at the main opening itself. Now this top has like a wire throughout here, all the way from here, around here, and then here, around here. And that's what keeps this really, really open, which is really nice, because if you're like trying to get into here, I'll show you, if I have this sitting up, it stays open all by itself, which makes it really easy to kind of dig in and find stuff. But I will say that there's actually a downside to that. And that's that if this bag is closed, number one, with one hand, I can't, it's very hard to open it with one hand. You kind of have to be able to push this down, and closing with one hand is the same thing. You kind of have to push it down and move it along. You cannot easily open this with one hand. Another thing is that there's two zippers here. Even if I open this up like this, so I've opened it from here to here, you can see that to get in, it has to open all the way. If it's open just a little bit, you cannot get your hand in there, because that steel bar, or the metal bar, is holding it closed. So I can't get in here unless it's open all the way. So, you know, there's definitely pros and cons to that. I am someone who likes to just quickly grab something without having to make sure that the bag is open all the way. And I feel like in a real world situation with kids, you're trying to get the bag open, one hand, just grab something really quick, that could get tiring. So it's definitely something to think about. How do you use your backpack? How much time do you have to open it all the way with two hands, etc. That opening mechanism kind of has some pros and cons to it. So now let's look at the inside of the bag, because there are even more pockets and zippers and all that kind of stuff, so that the inside hopefully doesn't become too chaotic. So right at the top here, you can see there's a zipper compartment, and it's small. It's probably about the size of like a large phone. So maybe your keys in your phone would go in there nicely. I'll also point out right now that the material on the inside here, it's a little bit slick. Don't know if you can tell, it's kind of like the shiny slick, like it feels like the inside of a diaper bag, because it's intended, I think, you want to be able to clean it, you know, like wipe it down. So it's not cloth, it's kind of like a more slick material, which, you know, doesn't feel the greatest to me. It feels like a diaper bag, but also if that's what you're using this for, you're going to appreciate being able to clean it down pretty easily. So then you also have 4 more pockets on the inside here. They're elastic at the top, and there's 2, one on each side, and then on the front there's 2 as well. And these, they go down about the depth of my hand, so they would hold, you know, a pack of wipes, or a bottle, a juice box, a bunch of clothes kind of stuffed in there. So there is definitely a fair amount of organization on the inside, and then also a very large portion where you can just kind of stuff stuff down there. These pockets, they stop before this, obviously, they stop before this. So you can see that anything in the pockets is kind of up above this bottom compartment. So it kind of makes sense the way that's all designed. People do find that they're able to fit like a laptop in that main section, and a lot of other things. There is no padded laptop holder. So that is something to note. If you feel like you'd be putting a laptop in here, you would want your own sort of padded case. But I will say that just overall, there's a lot of storage. People find that the customer service from this company is great, which you definitely want when you're buying something. You want to know that if it comes back and it's not what you wanted, or if something's broken, that you'll actually have a company that will do the work to fix that for you. A few things that I don't love about this bag: the opening system. I mean, I don't know how you would change that, but for me, I don't know if that's something that I would want personally. I think I'd get frustrated with it, but I do know a lot of people, the most important thing for them is that it can open up and stay open, and it's easy to find what they want. So I think that's just really personal preference. One kind of strange thing, we live in Canada, and the version that we got here says mommy and baby bag chic mom, which I think is kind of disappointing because I think anyone could use this bag, and for anything, not just mommies and not just for babies. So that's a little bit too bad. In the States, the same bag, the land bag from Amazon.com, says designed for baby, simple and practical, which isn't as bad, but it is, you know, a little bit irritating if you were to buy this bag and you are not a mommy, nor do you have a baby. I don't think the tag needs to say all that, but that's just so you know, a heads up. If you have a seam ripper, the tag is not put on there too firmly. I think you could probably remove it yourself, or like put a cool patch over top of it, and then that problem goes away. A couple other cons: doing things one-handed is very tricky in terms of opening and closing it. The straps, like I pointed out, I find they're quite flimsy, and the buckles kind of hit in an awkward place. So you definitely want to try this on before you decide to keep it. And like I said, these don't fit 8-ounce bottles. So if you have 8-ounce bottles and this is why you're buying it, you do need to be aware of that. And another thing, if this is like you're looking at this as a specific baby backpack, it does not have D-rings to attach it to your stroller, which if that's what you're planning to do with this bag, you will be disappointed. I will show you, we looked at another very similar bag. This is the Muifa bag. You can see it is almost identical. The zippers on this one are a fair bit blingier, which is one thing we didn't like as much. These ones are a little bit more understated. But one thing about this bag, which is otherwise almost identical, is that it has the D-rings right here so that you can attach it to your stroller. And it also came with carabiners for that very purpose. So this, if that's something that's important to you, this bag is going to do it for you, and you will find the link in the description. All right, so that was my honest review of the Land diaper bag. Lots of pros and cons, nice design, lots of pockets. The opening system, you know, personal preference, whether that's something for you, kind of doesn't have those D-rings that a lot of people wish it had. But overall, for $30, I think this could be a very useful tool for what is often a kind of short period during the bottle period of a baby's life. So definitely check it out. Take a look at all the colors, see if there's one there that catches your eye. Links are in the description, and leave me a comment. Do you like this bag? Do you have it? Is there another backpack that you'd like to see us review? We love backpacks. We have way too many of them, and we love to review them. So if there's something you have your eye on, please let us know so we can take a peek and maybe make a review for you. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this review, and make sure to subscribe because we do a whole lot of awesome reviews on this channel, and we'd love to have you around. See you later.